52 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Working towards the weekend here. Glad you're spending the next 2 hours with us. Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. We're still talking a lot of baseball today. Surprise, surprise. Had the celebration last night. Guys are at Canes today. They're telling stories. They're cutting up. So there's plenty to get to. Matt Trent from WBRZ is going to join us at 1:30. He was in Omaha for the duration. He was at the championship celebration last night. And WBRZ was there at Canes today as well. So we'll chat with Matt at 1:30. Keith Law's got a new mock draft out with some shakeups. Some at the top, some with some LSU players you might be interested in. So we'll talk about that at 2 o'clock. Joe Healy, D1 Baseball, one more ride with Joe at 2:15. He was, of course, there in Omaha for the entire ride. And we'll talk about his impressions of this LSU team now we know they are the national champions of college baseball. My voice, I think we're at like 85% here, which is a significant step up from where we were on Monday and certainly yesterday. I'm thinking Monday we may be a full go, which would be great. But let's start this off with a segment that I know before I even begin it. I'm preaching to the choir here. I am fully turning around from the congregation that is the national sports world or the regional sports world, and I'm turning around and I'm talking right to the Baton Rouge bubble. And do you necessarily need to hear this side of things? Probably not. But I'm going to do it anyway, because one of the things that I do in my show prep that I think I do a little bit more than some others on our station, maybe all others on our station, is take in the fan and media reaction different places in the Southeastern Conference. I keep up with them from a football perspective, from a basketball perspective, from a baseball perspective. I listen to podcasts like while I'm cooking and stuff and driving. I read stories. Matt certainly does it for around the SEC. But this is one of the lanes that I choose to get in and to try to, one, keep track of the league for myself so that I can, communicate it to you. And two, I think there's a little bit of merit there as opposed to continuing to go over the exact same things. What's going on with LSU? I think sometimes y'all are interested in things that go on around the SEC. And as I've over the last 2 days listened to some podcasts from some beats around the SEC, I've seen some on Twitter from beats around the SEC. I've read some stories, listened to some radio segments about LSU winning the national championship. And the most popular opinion is something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing because we're talking about 15 different outlets and things that I'm looking at, is LSU just bought a championship. LSU had the most NIL money. They purchased the title. I'm not going to get into who says what. That's not important for the purpose of this segment. But that's not like one person saying it or one, like that's the general idea. And I'll be very clear. Turn to yourself as an LSU fan in recruiting when LSU loses a player from in-state or somewhere. Your immediate reaction as a fan is generally not, that was a pretty good job of recruiting by them. We should have done a little bit better. It's really, well, they paid him. It's absolute garbage. They paid this guy. I can't believe he just took the money. That's how fans react. So I'm not suggesting that this is something new or that it doesn't happen the other way around. Not the suggestion. But I do think that I can provide a little bit of context here. Now keep in mind, as I'm self-aware, when Hugh Freeze started signing top 5 classes in Oxford, my immediate reaction is they're just paying these guys astronomical amounts. That's the only way, in my opinion, you could get top-tier non-Mississippi kids to go play at Ole Miss in front of 50,000 people for a program that hasn't won anything since the 50s. I don't believe you can turn it around like that. I have my questions about how Texas A&M landed that massive class, and they're signing defensive linemen from down in South Florida to play in Texas for a team that hasn't won very much. I'm self-aware. I do the same thing. But I'm just going to provide a little context as to the notion that, hey, LSU just bought a national championship with NIL money. Okay, let's talk about that. I'll go through the national championship lineup from Game 3. Cade Beloso signed at LSU about 14 years ago. There was no NIL. He's been here 5 years. NIL is 2 years old. Dylan Cruz signed with LSU before there was NIL. And oh, by the way, turned down a boatload of money from the MLB, pulled his name out of the draft and went to LSU because he wanted to be at LSU. Trey Morgan signed at LSU before NIL was real. Gavin Dugas signed at LSU before NIL was real. Braden Joubert, LSU got him from Delgado. He went to Slidell. You think he picked LSU based on massive NIL deals? Jordan Thompson turned down Jay Johnson at Arizona from San Diego before NIL. He played at LSU before NIL was legal. Josh Pearson signed to play at LSU. Couldn't use NIL money. Alex Milazzo signed at LSU. Couldn't use NIL money. Hayden Travinsky signed at LSU. Couldn't use NIL money. Jared Jones and Paxton Kling played in that game. They signed with LSU before you could get NIL money. Ty Floyd signed at LSU before you could get NIL money. Tommy White went into the transfer portal and chose LSU. Do I think NIL had something to do with his decision? I do. But that's part of college athletics. LSU has built a massive brand. I think there's a real reason that LSU was able to go get Haley Van Lith was the fact that when you come to LSU, you no longer play at Louisville or, in Tommy White's case, NC State. You play for the biggest program in college baseball. Thatcher Hurd, he came to LSU. Was it a cash grab? LSU just bought him? I don't know. But I can tell you that Thatcher Hurd told multiple outlets, including WBRZ, including ESPN, that he donated every cent of his NIL money to the Baton Rouge Food Bank. And there is video of him in the food bank packing lunches. Not exactly the same, in my opinion, as giving a high school recruit a car. Okay? So, how much did Thatcher Hurd make? How much did he give to the food bank? I don't know. He said he gave it all away. And there's video of him doing it. I think there's a decent chance that instead of playing in front of 13 people at Jackie Robinson Stadium, not on television, he thought, I'm pretty good. I might want to go play in front of 11,000 on ESPN. Paul Skeens. He came to LSU in the NIL era. I don't know how much money he made over this year. I have no idea. I know that he pledged to give a ton of it to Folds of Honor and struck out over 200 batters and pledged money for that to Folds of Honor because the Air Force is very important to him, and he lost 2 teammates when he was at Air Force, and he saw an organization that helps the families of fallen and wounded soldiers and wanted to make a difference financially. I don't know how much money he made and how much he gave away. I don't know. But I just don't know that Paul Skeens entered the transfer portal, looked around, and picked LSU because they paid the most money. I don't think that's the case. Again, LSU's baseball players are very clearly making money in NIL. Go through the Canes drive-thru. You'll see the whole team. The whole team's actually there right now, but the posters are all right there. They're on the G team. We know. I'm not dismissing the entire notion of LSU baseball players receiving NIL dollars. I'm not. They get them. The notion that LSU bought a baseball team and leaving it at that is grossly short-sighted. Over 95% of the position players that played on LSU's national championship winning game lineup decided to come to LSU before NIL was even a possibility. And you can come back and say, well, they would have never won it without the transfers, without Skeens, without Hurd, without White. They probably don't. Well, they don't win the national championship without those three. But I also think there's more to that story than, well, they just paid them. There's details here. And I don't expect beat writers from around the league or fans from around the league to want details. They want to hate. But I can provide them. And what did I say at the very top of this segment? I know that I'm preaching to the choir. I'm giving no conflicting information to anyone that's listening right now because you're all basking in the glow of a national championship and you don't really care if they got paid money or not. I know, but it makes me feel better, right? LSU won a national championship because Paul Mainieri and Nolan Cain stacked together really good recruiting classes, because Jay Johnson took over the reins of the program and did a phenomenal job to retain the first recruiting class that was loaded and had kids that decommitted, and he brought them back in, and he went in the transfer portal. He used the resources available and the profile and the platform that is LSU baseball and put together the best team in the country. And then he gave them an amazing message in early January and put them on the practice field, and they went through a season with some ups and downs and injuries and trials and tribulations that resulted in the best form of that team showing up in Omaha with 15,000 LSU fans in tow and beating one of the best teams in the country for a national championship. There was NIL involved. That's going to be the case with every championship team moving forward. End of discussion. Every single one is going to be impacted by NIL moving forward. And if you want to pick out one of the last 40 football national championships and point to the one that didn't have money involved in the front end, well, then you've really found something. Not going to take the rings away, are they? Even if they say it. This is a really, really good baseball team, and the notion that LSU just purchased a team is incredibly short-sighted. But I don't expect anything more. All right, that's off my chest now. All right, we good? We still got a ton to get to. Matt Trent's going to be with us from WBRZ coming up in 15 minutes, talking about his trip in Omaha and then what he saw at the championship celebration last night. I've got some big picture 6-month-long takes from this college baseball season. And the point of it in the next segment here is going to be just a little bit of, now that we're out of the fire and you can kind of look back and settle your nerves and calm your emotions, what did we learn about baseball seasons as they flow? That's next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. I know a bunch of you all listening right now have parents that or loved ones that are aging. And a lot of times those parents or loved ones that are aging don't want to move. And a lot of times they don't have to move, but they may need some help, especially in the bathroom with getting around, slippery surfaces, all that kind of stuff. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets do that all the time. Maybe it's something as simple as just putting in a support railing in the bathroom. Maybe it's something as simple as a walk-in tub that makes things easier on somebody as they get up in age. If that's something you're interested in hearing about for yourself or someone that you love, go to onebathandclosets.com and check out a free consultation. Let David Duvall and his team come in and look at things and see what they can do in your specific situation. Everything David Duvall and his team do is customized. They can customize something for you or someone in your family. Get a free consultation. Check out the testimonials. Check out the gallery of their great works over at onebathandclosets.com. It is onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
On Fridays, OTB, we close out a wonderful week with the Paris Giambi, the Bayou Bambino, the king of Thick Boy Summer, Cade Beloso, live in studio. It's coming out 7 to 10 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And one of the inevitabilities in sports is that if you're a fan, that you're going to overreact. That's how it goes. Emotions run hot. Sometimes there's alcohol involved. And you're going to react to things, whether it's wildly positive, wildly negative. Usually you go above and beyond in both directions. But the beauty of when the season ends is you can relax. You don't have to worry about what's next. And you can maybe learn a few things. And I certainly have tried to do that. Look, I'll hold my hand up. I'm one that tweeted when Garrett Edwards got hurt, I don't know if they can recover from this. I'm one that said that this bullpen is 0 for 20 and guys stepping up right now. Like I think I'm as mild-mannered as anyone when it comes to the highs and lows of a baseball season. But there were times this year where it certainly tested me, and this was a really, really good team to have that test. I also said that unequivocally LSU could win a national championship with this pitching staff, so you're going to have to hit your way through it. Now I can sit back and I don't have to worry about prognosticating anything. I can just kind of see, okay, what do we learn? And these are some of the things that I jotted down. last night as I was kind of going over it. We know this one, that teams evolve. We can sit here today and try to talk about a starting lineup for opening day in February of 2024. Like, we could do that. I could write it down for you. I'd be wrong, but I could give you some thoughts. But it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time at Christmas, too, because the team's going to evolve. You've heard the examples by now. You know Chad Jones was the DH on 2009 opening night. He ended up being a pitcher. You know in that 2009 team, the Nola LeMahieu switch happened that we couldn't have foreseen because DJ had been the shortstop for a year and a half and they'd been to Omaha. We know in that 2009 team that Mikey Matuk came on late and became one of their better players in center field. The 2017 team that went to the national final. Opening day that year, Brennan Breaux was in left field. He was not a big piece to that team in the end. Zach Hess, early on in that season, he made some midweek starts. Against McNeese, he threw 2 2/3, gave up 4 hits and a homer, walked 3 earned runs against McNeese. He had 2 outings against Tulane in the midweek early on, where he allowed 7 hits and 7 runs in 5 innings. He became the most dominant force in Omaha for a week. Like, things just take some time to weave and wind, and you just can't call it early on. We know the stories this year of Beloso and Travinsky and Riley Cooper, even Josh Pearson, Gavin Guidry, guys that ended up being wildly differently used than they were in February when we got to June. We know that. But I think it's important to realize, like, hey, I mean, I do Twitter Q&As sometimes in like October. I get, hey, who's the weekend rotation? It's like, well, I don't know, man. Like, it's just the baseball season, those 56 games, it's really difficult to forecast what's going to happen. That's what I love about it. But that one's easy. How about another one that maybe isn't as comfortable for LSU fans, but something that I'm getting on board with? There are times where you've got to go to Hoover and play well, but largely how you play there doesn't matter at all. Mississippi State got run ruled twice, left Hoover and won the Natty. Mississippi State, Ole Miss went 0-1. Could have been left out of the tournament, won the Natty. LSU played like garbage for some of that tournament in Hoover. Walking guys, strikeouts, Skeens wasn't his best. Yeah, they left some guys on base, which I've kind of said it's not the biggest deal in the world. But you went 1-2, which was a rarity for this team, and you showed up and swept both regionals. So, look, I'm not going to get on board with anybody who starts barking because they went to Hoover and didn't play well. Conversely, I'm not going to care if they go to Hoover and play incredible. It doesn't matter in the regional. Oh, by the way, how do I know that? This year, Texas A&M and Vanderbilt blitzed through their brackets, played for the championship in Hoover. Vanderbilt beat A&M, and they both got beaten regionals. Hoover doesn't matter. It's a fun week. They start playing baseball at 9 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's there. It's really high-level baseball. It's a fun trip if you're a fan. Every once in a while, you feel like you're jockeying for position. You got to get it done. But how you play in Hoover just doesn't really matter. And that goes into the message that I gave y'all with no voice from the Ameristar on Monday that, yeah, the momentum, quote, and I use air quotes, was all on with Florida after that game 2. They beat LSU by 1 million. But in baseball, it doesn't matter. You just erase the scoreboard and you go play again. For the same reason that momentum didn't matter to LSU after they lost to Wake. They came out and played great against Tennessee. For Wake, after they took a gut punch walk-off loss to LSU, it didn't matter to Florida that they got beaten extra innings in game 1. They came back and played and won by 1 million. I gave you the Stony Brook example. I gave you LSU Oregon State from 2017, where Oregon State embarrassed LSU. LSU loses Eric Walker, get crushed. LSU came back and won 3 straight games. Momentum in baseball, I'm just not going to get too much on board with it. You play the next game. Sure, you can point me to the win in 23 in a row in 2008. You want to call that momentum? Great. I'm just not going to get on board with it. I think you got a chance to go out and win a baseball game, and you better go out and play to win it because the other team's not going to lay down at that level when you're playing teams that good. And that's something that I feel comfortable talking about now that we've cleared through it all. LSU didn't lose all their momentum in game 2. Florida didn't take it all in game 2. You just go out there and you play. Good bit. And LSU, with 2 strikes, started spraying the ball all over the place and scored 6 runs in the second or third inning, whichever one it was. Got the box score right here. Second inning. And then the last one, this one's difficult to, I mean, you certainly can't forecast it. That's the point of the entire exercise. But it feels like when you get up there, you've got to win so many games in Omaha that the likelihood of just your stars kind of carrying the mail isn't great. You're going to need somebody to come up with something. It didn't have to be Warren Morris, who hadn't homered all year, hitting a homer at the end. But you're probably going to need Caleb Gilbert or Nate Ackenhausen. Those were different situations. One team had a starter go down, in 17. The other one was trying to battle out of the loser's bracket and didn't necessarily have a third starter. And if Thatcher Hurd was it, you had to use him in the bullpen because you were a little short there. But you got to have Ackenhausen do that. You got to have Griffin Herring do that. That's what it's going to take. And I think this fan base, likely moving forward, maybe not, but likely to me, this fan base is now going to be a little bit desensitized to the loser's bracket. 2017 conquered it and got out. The regional team in 21 in Oregon conquered it and got out. And this 2023 team conquered it, got out and won the championship. So I think there's reason to feel comfortable with the fact that you don't have to play out of the winner's bracket. It is more comfortable, and it's very hard for us to sit here and forecast this team getting out of the loser's bracket. But you can do it if you've got a really good team. If you're trying to be a Cinderella story, I wouldn't advise it. But if you've got a really good team that's got a lot of depth, which LSU should have, this LSU team lost Chase Shores. They lost Garrett Edwards. They lost Jaden Newt. They lost Grant Taylor. They lost massive pieces to that pitching staff. But they had enough depth in the end to find it. Do I think Cal Berkeley or South Alabama or Kennesaw State is going to do that? No, I don't. LSU can, and that's all we're talking about here. So there's enough recent past for us to look on and go, okay, you can get out of the loser's bracket. You just got to make sure you've built a staff that's got some depth. And that depth doesn't have to have pitched brilliantly the entire year. There just have to be some guys with some stuff. There's not one team in the SEC that wouldn't take Griffin Herring. Was he a star all year? He was not. Does he have enough stuff to go out there and give you 4 1/3 shutout against Wake? He does. Maybe that was Tennessee. Either way. So those are kind of my sit back, relax, deep breath takeaways from this year that I think I can apply moving forward. Teams evolve. Let them breathe and let them have a process. Ole Miss taught us that last year. Hoover doesn't matter. How you play there is not a big deal, and that dovetails into momentum is really tough to quantify in baseball. You just got to go play the next game. And then in Omaha, more often than not, you're going to need somebody, Trey Hodges, Griffin Herring, Nate Ackenhausen, Caleb Gilbert, to give you something. Doesn't have to be Warren Morris again. But you're going to have somebody down the line give you something. And this team did that in spades. I thought a really cool championship celebration last night. Was it perfect? No. Did it have to be? No. Should just be in a good mood. I was taken aback. I'll be honest. Twitter, message boards, I see Tiger droppings. I'm on 3. The complaining about the temporary intimidator that was simply just there to display LSU's national championship logo for 2023 was a little much for me, folks. Can we calm down a little bit? I thought it was great that they included the other championships on the logo, and you don't want to take away from the 2023 team, so you make those numbers a little smaller. When we come back for the Intimidator to open next season, they'll have all 7 of them up there in big, bold print. That's the point of the billboard, and it will be there. So calm down about the Intimidator that was there just for last night to celebrate that team. I promise it's okay. We'll talk to a guy that was there last night from WBRC, Matt Trent, next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. All June long, we've been telling you about Corey Barr. He's a chef and restaurateur up in Monroe, Louisiana, runs 3 operations up there, and he's got some national acclaim. Beat Bobby Flay, America's Best New Chef. But it's important to Corey that he come back to Monroe and make an impact in his hometown, in his home state. And that's what makes him a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana, whether it's a person like Corey, a nonprofit, or a business that's doing great philanthropic work in our state, LWCC wants those stories told, and they've tasked us with doing it. So go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana, like Corey Barr, June's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our
Sandigrove, join us for the Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Troy Macker is with us. Paul Stone is back with us talking college football, and Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's head to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. We'll find our guy Matt Trent from WBRZ. Matt was up in Omaha for the ride and was at the championship celebration last night. Matt, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, man, we made it back.
I'm assuming your flights were probably a little more direct than mine. I went to New York and then to D.C. and then to New Orleans. Did you do a little better than that?
Oh, man, direct. What a word. You know, at 1:30 in the morning on Monday night going into Tuesday morning, we got a notification that our flight out of Omaha was canceled and had to drive 2.5 hours to Kansas City for a flight. And driving with Kabul in a rush is just a dream of mine.
It's a reality now, so you don't even have to dream about it.
Yeah, it's everything that I dreamed of and I ever wanted, just to be in a rush driving in a rental car with Michael Kabul at 3 a.m.
So we talked last week when you were kind of halfway through and you'd kind of seen the sights, but as the week went on, kind of what was the end of your Omaha experience like, seeing the town, seeing the stadium, and seeing the baseball?
Dude, it was so awesome. Like, again, and I can't stress this enough, and I was talking to Ben McDonald about this, college baseball is in such a good place right now, and I think anyone that watched Omaha this year from start to finish can see it, because there were so many good teams with so many good players, and there's high-level baseball, and I think, you know, obviously LSU showed us that against literally everyone, but dude, it was like the state fair for college baseball, and it was so awesome. Like, I want to go back just every year, even if, you know, the team I'm covering is not even in there.
And look, you saw as high level and competitive a College World Series as we see. A couple of games got away, and two of them happened to be in the final. But I mean, I was thinking about this as we were about to walk into Game 3. Like, not too long ago, Arizona and Coastal Carolina played this thing, and that changes the dynamics a little bit. If you take LSU out and put Stanford in there, I mean, it does change the dynamic. Now, Omaha will buy up the tickets, and the stadium will be full. But in terms of the pageantry and the passion that would go with it, it would take it away. But this one was as good as it just about gets.
Yeah, and I was just, you know, going over and looking at, like, draft boards for this year, and next year. I mean, at the start of the tournament, with all the teams and players that were there, between this draft and next year's draft, there were like 15 to 20 first-round picks in Omaha.
Yeah. No, it's remarkable.
That's insane.
Well, I'm going to do a mock draft coming up at 2 o'clock, and I've got some names that we'll rattle off, but it was high-level stuff. What will be your lasting memory from Omaha, whether that's on the field or off?
You know, it's crazy, because I think the last thing I had two, obviously Trey Morgan's flip on the squeeze play against Wake was just incredible. But Tommy White's walk-off home run was even better, because I had made my way down from the press box into the media room, and then, you know, that game's going in extra innings. And I remember telling Kabul before the start of that inning, I was like, hey, I'm just going to take everything and I'm going to go out there just in case something happens. You know, we'll be there to run out on the field or whatever. And I go out to the field, and I'm right there at right beside, you know, the first base dugout. And I'm sitting there, and Dylan Cruz leads off with a hit, and then they change pitchers. And I remember saying this, like, out loud before the first pitch. I was like, I just have a feeling this ball is about to get smoked. Like, I just have this feeling. And sure enough, Tommy White just cranks one right into the stands in left field. And I was just like, this is awesome. And that's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
I will too, because that's the swing that sent me up there. We were only going to go if it was a championship series, and that's the one. That was such an incredible baseball game to watch. There's so many directions that I could go here, but I think what did you enjoy more in terms of watching this team week in and week out? Was it Skeens on the mound, or Cruz and White and Morgan and the crew at the plate?
You know, it's crazy, because I'm like you. You know, you can take this team in so many different angles. What's your favorite? And they're the obvious. You know, the clutch hitting, Trey Morgan's play, the bullpen. You know, all of it. Schemes, all of it's great. But I think what I got out of it the most was talking to this team on the practice days and talking to this team before games, like pregame. And Hunt, and I think even Cobble said it, this week on either with you or Moscona. I've never seen a collective group of kids that plays for everyone but themselves. And it's all about Hayden Travinski could have just scrapped it this year and said, man, I'm better than this. I'm going to just pout and sulk in the corner and I'm going to go in the portal. Forget this. This sucks. I'm out of here. Didn't do it. Milazzo, the same thing. Kay Beloso. We can go on and on and on. But the team was so precise and so tunnel visioned on what they had to accomplish. And they knew that if they would ever have a chance at a national championship, they had to kind of sacrifice their own well-being and their own goals and dreams for the betterment of the group. And I've never seen a group of 35 to 40 guys do that.
What does that say about Jay?
I think another thing with that, for me, is trust, right? Again, talking to Hayden Travinski, he said, midway through this thing, talking about Jay getting here, he was like, I have seen you in work. I've seen you at 4 a.m. here at the office, sweating and putting so much sweat equity into this program. He was like, I trust you. And that's a tough thing to do, especially when you're coming from, Paul Maneri, who was, 4-time National Coach of the Year, national champion. It's hard to just believe that guy coming in is going to be on that level, if not better, when you've never played for it. You just kind of have to look at the resume and trust him. But these guys just handing their careers, handing their baseball lives over to Jay Johnson, I think in just 2 years, what they've done, it says leaps and bounds about Jay Johnson as a head coach.
Chatting with Matt Trent, WBRZ. He and Cobble were up there in Omaha for the whole shebang. You were also there last night. Now, what was that like?
Dude, I know that, we get lost in saying, there's nowhere on the planet where people care this much about college baseball, and there's nowhere. Last night was the living proof that there is nowhere in the country where people care this intensely about college baseball like they do at LSU. The box was packed. There was standing room up on the upper levels, and it was just jammed. I don't know, just to take it even step further, I don't know of a place that can pump out an Intimidator graphic in less than 24 hours like LSU can. They had signage up already when the guys got back on Tuesday afternoon. Everything was good. 2023 national champions, new Intimidator. Yeah, we got all this done, guys, in 12 hours. Yeah, you're welcome. It was awesome last night.
I agree. Cody, I saw him up in Omaha, and they were talking with Matt. They started planning that the day the postseason bracket was announced. That was all right, if they win it here, the team will they'll practice, they'll get ready to play against Tulane in a couple of days. We got to get ready for a party if we got to throw one. So they did, and they were ready. It was awesome. What is the future of this program under Jay Johnson? It's a big question, but.
Well, look, he said it yesterday. He was like, I would have prepared a speech for this thing, but I was too busy working on 2024. So, I'm interested to see. They've already got 3-4 commitments while they were in Omaha. The class coming in looks good. I got to wait and see what the draft looks like with a couple guys because they've got a ton of high-level talent that's going to get selected and whether they choose to come or take the professional route. But again, we had these same conversations last year, and Brady Neal and Paxton Kling showed up to school. So, nothing is, for sure with guys going to the draft when it comes to Jay Johnson and LSU. I think they're going to – Thatcher Hurd is obviously going to be the frontline starter, I would think, as of right now moving forward. But whoever they get in the portal, whoever emerges, does Grant Taylor get drafted and come back, or just go for pro ball? That's another thing that I want to know, here in the next couple of weeks. I would not be surprised if we are having the same conversation next year about LSU finishing off another title run in Omaha.
We'll see. Maybe we can do some takeover, sports takeover next year,
Yeah, why not?
All right, Matt, I appreciate you. Appreciate seeing you every week and get seeing up here in Omaha. And let's, I guess, take some time off in the summer. Are we doing high school football? What are we doing?
Dude, we're doing high school football. The Rougarou are playing.
Yep.
But all I hear is just 18 holes of golf. Is all I.
Well, hit them straight.
Trying to, man. Trying to. That's the goal always.
All right, Matt. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Matt.
He's Matt Trent, WBRZ sports reporter. He and Caldwell were up there the whole way, up in Omaha. All right, we will close out the hour with a little Saints talk. At the top of hour number 2, excited about this. Keith Law put out a new mock draft. We're getting close, and a lot of shakeup with the LSU guys. I'll tell you about that at 2 o'clock. Saints next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good look.
On Friday's OTB, we close out a wonderful week with the Paris Giambi, the Bayou Bambino, the king of Thick Boy Summer, Cade Beloso, live in studio. Coming out 7 to 10 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Kind of listing season here as we're easing into the summer. Baseball team helps us out, but we're easing that way. So ESPN put out an NFL list, which they're apt to do, and they ranked the NFL rosters for 2023 and kind of gave the strengths and weaknesses of every roster. It's not a very detailed assignment that they've put together here, but it does kind of shed some light on what they think about some of the teams across the league. So the first thing I do is, of course, look up where do they have the Saints in terms of a roster. And I imagined probably somewhere in the middle of the pack. I don't think the Saints are right there on the precipice of Super Bowl. I don't think they're a disaster. I assume they'd be somewhere in the middle of the pack, and they are at number 19. They got the Saints at 19. They say the strongest unit for the Saints is their defensive back group, which they say is the 7th best in the NFL. And I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of talent in the DB room. I think Marshawn Lattimore, when healthy, is excellent. I think Paulson Adebo is a solid pro. I think Alontae Taylor may really come into his own this year. Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu are solid at the back end. If Tyrann's lost a step here or there, I could argue that, but they're very solid in the back end. I think that's a really strong unit at defensive back. And I totally agree with the weakest unit. Now, I would, instead of calling it the weakest unit, call it my biggest question mark. I think it's potentially not weak, but I'm going to need to see it at defensive tackle. You lose David Onyemata, Shai Tuttle, Kentavious Street, okay, whatever. Those guys I thought were pretty mediocre last year, and I thought it was time for an overhaul there. But I can't tell you that I think Kalen Sanders and Nathan Shepard are stars, and I don't know what Brian Brzee is. Now, there are reasons why the Saints really like Kalen Saunders and Nathan Shepard, and they fit the profile of the Saints defensive linemen, and they've been solid pros. It's not like they haven't proven they can play in the NFL. They just haven't been every down stalwarts in the middle of a defense. The Saints are giving them that chance, and then you take an first round pick on Brian Brzee. It's a question for me. I think it was time for an overhaul there, but I can't tell you that I'm certain it's great. So I get that. They call Michael Thomas the X Factor, and I can probably get on board with that. And the non-starter to know, they say, is A.T. Perry, 6th-round pick, all ACC the last 2 years. Led all Power 5 receivers with 131 receiving yards on go routes over the last 2 years. A.T. Perry, he can really go, if you'll pardon that bad pun. And so I don't have any problem with where they put the Saints there. If you want to argue they're closer to 12 than 19, okay. But it was a pretty mediocre team last year, and I think the middle of the pack is really bunched in the NFL. What I will also say about these rankings is that the Saints' schedule is obviously very, 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 very friendly. You look at the teams behind the Saints in this ranking. The Saints are at 19. Then you scroll back and you get to the division, which sits there at Carolina 25, Atlanta 26, and the Bucs 27. That's 6 of your games right there. Oh, by the way, you play the 28th team, Tennessee. You play the 29th team, Houston. You play the 30th team, Indianapolis. They're all in the AFC South, which you see. You play the 31st team, that's the Rams. Those are almost the bottom. The only team worse than those I just rattled off is Arizona. So there's a lot of things that make the Saints very interesting this year that we'll talk about all summer long, and certainly as we get into August. I think they're going to be an intriguing team because I think they're a little bit better than a lot of teams on their schedule, which means you can win a lot of games and means you can win the division. And that means we should have meaningful football in November and December. And if you want to sit there and say, well, they can't win the Super Bowl, like, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl. But I would like to watch a playoff game. And they're probably going to give you that this year, I think. I can see it falling apart, but I can see them also winning a lot of games because some of the teams on this schedule stink. So that's ESPN's kind of brief look at NFL rosters. I'll get far deeper into listing season as we get into July, which is big-time list season. And then August is kind of talking season with your press conferences and practice reports. But we got through June with baseball, people. So that's a very, very good thing. Speaking of baseball, we'll talk a little bit about it in the second hour. Got Joe Healy coming up in 20 minutes from right now. When we come back, new Keith Law mock draft. A lot of shakeups with LSU. One big riser, and probably not surprising. That's after SportsCenter on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
All right, let's say ah. Where'd my spotlight go? Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. 3 NFL players are now looking for new teams after getting suspended for at least a year for betting on league games. Isaiah Rodgers and Rashad Berry were immediately cut by the Colts today. Demetrius Taylor was already a free agent. Also, Titans offensive lineman Nicholas Petit-Frere gets a 6-game suspension for betting on other sports at the team facility. NBA free agency just a little more than 24 hours away. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski says the Knicks will be active next year.
I think New York's doing the right thing by waiting, maybe not going after the B-level player and say the A-level player is going to become available. Is it early in the season? Is it trade deadline? Is it next summer? And they're going to be in position to do something.
Woj on KJ and Max. In France today, anti-corruption police raid the Summer Olympic headquarters near Paris. Investigators are looking into possible favoritism and conflict of interest in about 20 of the signed business contracts for the Games, which start in July of next year.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2 on a Thursday, Hunt Palmer Show, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Working towards the weekend. Might be a long weekend for some of you. We're going to be working on Monday, but not Tuesday. You know, a little dip your toe back in the pool and then jump right out for the 4th of July holiday. Maybe some of you hanging out on vacation at the beach, locking us in. We certainly appreciate that. Wherever you may be listening, we always appreciate it. Joe Healy is going to be with us in 15 minutes to put a bow on this LSU championship season. He's been with us every Thursday all year long, and we certainly appreciate that. And we'll talk draft here for a few minutes. Keith Law, who some around here don't love because he's not a big college baseball fan, I still find his information useful. He's been connected at that level of the game for 2 decades, and I am fascinated by the Major League Baseball draft. Y'all know that. Y'all know what it means to LSU's program, both with high school recruits that are looking to come to Baton Rouge potentially, and with LSU players that have decisions to make whether or not they want to go. And so this year especially, LSU is going to be very, very well represented at the top of the draft and has some guys who are going to have decisions to make. And so Keith Law put together a first-round mock, and this is not how he would draft them. This is what he thinks the industry will do. I think it's good. First pick, Pittsburgh Pirates, Keith Law. Paul Skeens, right-handed pitcher. He opens with this, which will rub some people the wrong way. Just let it ride. Skeens pitched too much in Omaha, although I think LSU it's going to alter the Pirates' thinking, since they have an extra pick at 67 and could try to replicate their 2021 draft success. The Pirates may take the player they think is best at 1. They may not. They may take the best deal. Doesn't make you cheap. Makes you flexible with what you can do the rest of the draft. They're going to spend their draft pool. It's just a matter of where they allocate what resources. You want to dump a bunch of extra money on your 14th round pick that you took a flyer on, you can do that if you draft someone in the front that's going to take $1 million less. And instead of getting one lottery ticket, you can buy two. It's a different process than the NFL and the NBA. So I don't know if Dylan Cruz does or doesn't want to play for the Pirates. I don't really care. I would prefer that neither Dylan Cruz nor Paul Skeens played for the Pirates because they play the Cubs a lot. But Skeens at 1 is a shakeup. Washington Nationals, Dylan Cruz, outfielder LSU with the 2nd pick. Law says that he had a scout say that Washington's actually in the best position of any team in the draft. They like Cruz and Skeens. They just take the other one. I don't know what Cruz is trying to do or whether or not he wants to play for Pittsburgh or Washington or whatever. But if they do draft Dylan Cruz at 2, he'll have to take full slot or potentially a little bit above that to get him there. But that still has the LSU guys at the top. They just flipped him a little bit. So that should not come as any surprise. Detroit, he has at 3, taking Wyatt Langford. I won't spend any time on that, but you understand the talent that Wyatt Langford is after watching him in Omaha and last weekend. He was phenomenal. At 5, he's got the Twins taking Jacob Gonzalez, the Ole Miss shortstop, who I think is going to be a great major league player. I was interested to see that he had Rhett Lauder going 9th to the Colorado Rockies. We know how good he was at Wake Forest, and LSU got a ton of that. The first LSU signee that you see, Keith Law has mocked at number 20 in this draft. That is, of course, Blake Mitchell, who is probably the biggest talent in this LSU draft class. He is the number 1 high school catcher in the country. He's up to like 97 on the mound. He can hit. He's a really good athlete. He's 6'1", almost 200 pounds. Law says he's the best high school catcher, which puts him in the first round automatically, although his potential as a left-handed hitting catcher with power and plus defense also qualifies him. Blake Mitchell's a sensational talent. He's not coming to LSU. That's a no-go. I'll do my draft preview next week before we get to the actual draft, which is at the All-Star break for Major League Baseball. But Blake Mitchell is not coming to LSU. But I did not expect to see another LSU player in the first round. However, I did, and it really put a smile on my face. With the 28th pick in this mock draft, and this will put a smile on some of y'all's faces too, because I know that some of you support this team, the Houston Astros, Ty Floyd. Now listen to this excerpt that Law says about Ty Floyd. It says, nobody helped himself more in Omaha than Floyd, who showed that he could go through some of the best lineups in college baseball with his unhittable fastball. The Astros immediately ended up linked to him, in part because Dana Brown, their general manager, was overseeing the draft in Atlanta when that club took Spencer Strider and his unhittable fastball. I've mostly heard the Astros with college players, but I'm going to settle with Floyd. That 17 strikeout game that Ty Floyd produced in Omaha made him 6 figures. Because that's the biggest stage. He showed the slowest heartbeat, and Florida can really hit. And while he did get a couple strikeouts with a changeup, and he did show a little bit of a breaking ball, he struck them out with heaters that they knew were coming that they couldn't get to. And when you can get that spin rate, and you can consistently hit 96, 97, and you can show that to an MLB organization, they're salivating over it in their pitch labs. Because they believe, like LSU did with Skeens this past year, if they can get 2 miles an hour onto that Floyd fastball, and now all of a sudden you're sitting at 97, pitching at 99 at times with that heater, we'll teach you to spin something else over the next 3 years. We can teach you that. We'll get you to spin the breaking ball. That performance that Ty Floyd gave against Florida was legendary in Baton Rouge, and for good reason. We've heard about Brett Laxton for 2 decades. 3 decades almost. And it will resonate in Ty Floyd's pocketbook. And that's so great to see, because Ty Floyd, it's that classic signing day thing. And I know that MLB's, high school baseball signings don't mean as much to us as football signing day, which is a huge production. But we'll put it in football terms, okay? When you sign a kid that's a high 4-star in football, call him a defensive end, you automatically start thinking about you the fan, I'm not talking about the coaches, as fans, we're thinking about, man, that guy could really develop into something. Maybe not immediately. Maybe he's not Leonard Fournette, he's not Patrick Peterson, but he's 4-star, got a good frame. I like his video, and I think, he can help maybe as a freshman. By the time he's a junior, man, he could be really making some impact plays. That's a guy who could change some games for us if he grows into what he could be. And that's Ty Floyd. When he was coming out of Rockport, Georgia, he had a big arm. And we thought, okay, this guy, can help early. Not going to be in the rotation, but he can help. Not Landon Marceau as a junior yet. A.J. Levis got more skins on the wall. Those are our guys, but I think Floyd can maybe help a little bit. And then you hope he grows into a weekend starter and then maybe becomes a dominant ace or number 2. And Ty was what you expect him to be as a freshman. He helped out of the bullpen. Got some big outs. As a sophomore, he threw too many fastballs early in the year. And he threw too many fastballs late in the year, quite frankly. But he did produce a pretty solid start against Southern Miss in the Marble game. Never pitched again that year. But you were coming into this year like, okay, man, can Ty Floyd take that next step? Can Wes Johnson unlock it with the fastball and the breaking ball? And can he become a solid number 2? I thought Thatcher Hurd would be that guy. I thought Floyd had a chance on the back end. And what can you say about the fact that he goes out there and you win behind him in the regional, and you win delayed, and you win behind them in the super? And then he goes out in Omaha in the championship series, and that 4-star recruit who took that road that was a solid contributor as a freshman and blossomed into a weekend starter, and then took the next step as a weekend starter, produced the best he had. And that's amazing for us here as LSU fans to see him do that in the biggest spot he could possibly pitch in college baseball. But then you flip it to the other side, and it puts a big smile on my face because that's going to be a guy who signs for a lot of money and can be a story about what you can become if you go play baseball at LSU. Certainly Cruz and Skeens tell that story. But Ty Floyd, used the resources available to LSU, elevated his game, and when LSU had to have him at the end, he was the best he could be. And guys like Keith Law and folks in Major League scouting departments, they saw it. I would be so happy if Ty Floyd goes in the first round. It's the first time I've seen him mocked up that high. I don't look at all the mock drafts, but that's the first time I've seen that. That would be something awesome for this team to put 3 guys in the first round. So hats off to Ty Floyd. Let's hope that does come true. We will step aside, take a timeout. When we come back, Joe Healy, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team. That's next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Cold in Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
All right, let's say ah.
Sandegrove, join us for the Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Troy Macker is with us. Paul Stone is back with us talking college football, and Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Every Thursday at 2:15, our guy Joe Healy from D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team has joined us. We're going to do it one more time to put a bow on the 2023 season. The Tigers national champs. Head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline and chat with our guy Joe now. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Probably not as good as you and all your neighbors there in Baton Rouge, if I had to guess, but doing pretty well.
Things are pretty good here in Baton Rouge. Do I understand you had some travel issues getting out of Omaha like everybody else?
Oh, geez, did I ever? Yeah, I got to spend a bonus day in Omaha, just thanks to my flight being canceled and not being able to get out that day. Had to spend an extra day there, which was a kind of a bizarre experience, I got to admit. When you're used to seeing the city be in some kind of way during the College World Series, being there afterwards is kind of like that hangover after a party where you're having a really good time and then you realize, oh gosh, I've stayed too long. This is a problem. So it was a weird deal, but home now.
That's good to hear. What would your lasting memory be of this College World Series?
I really think it is kind of both. This is not just me pandering to your audience, but I think both this small scale and big picture things that this LSU national title meant. I mean, there are so many plays that really stand out to me from LSU's run, from the Trey Morgan scoop and flip to the plate on the Merrick Houston squeeze bunt, a play that might get overlooked as time goes on, the Josh Pearson snag of the Wyatt Langford line drive in game 1 of the finals, that Paul Skeens' 2 starts, what I guess we can call Skeens Gate, which was just the 24 hours of speculation about how they're going to use Paul Skeens and then ultimately just didn't have to, right? There's just like a lot of little memories like that I think I'll remember. And also the uniqueness of the fact that they lost 2 games and won a national title. I mean, that's the number of teams that have done that is pretty small. So it just kind of shows the team's ability to bounce back. I mean, but I think there's also a bigger picture lesson to be learned here in the larger college baseball world, and that's that, look, I don't need to tell you or your listeners, like Jay Johnson doesn't talk like or sound like most of the coaches that get hired to coach in the SEC. He didn't come off of the Ron Polk or Skip Bertman or John Cohen or Ray Tanner coaching tree, or none of those, very fruitful coaching trees that we've seen get hired time and again in the SEC. But he's just a good baseball coach. And he knows how to navigate this modern climate, whether you want to be critical of him for that, as fans of other teams have done a lot of since the national title, or if you want to look at it like I do, as just being good at your job and understanding what you have to do to win in 2023 and beyond. So I think it's a great lesson to athletic directors out there that, look, just because, the coach hasn't played a road series at Dudy Noble in his life doesn't mean that he can't be a successful coach at your historically good SEC program. Jay Johnson just proved that you can do it.
Let's talk about LSU's pitching. You obviously saw Ty Floyd set records, Nate Ackenhausen with an unbelievable performance. Griffin Herring stepped in and did magical stuff. Riley Cooper, who was really, really hittable early in the year, became unhittable late. What do you attribute that to?
I think patience, which is another thing I think this coaching staff did a good job with, understanding that, hey, these are going to be our guys and we're just going to have to go to battle with them for better or for worse. I think one of the things that, and look, these coaches in the SEC have forgotten more about baseball than I'll ever know, so it's easy for me to sit here and say this, but I think it's very easy when you get into the throes of SEC play to really shorten your pitching staff and say, we just can't trust this guy, right? And I think it would have been really easy for Jay Johnson to at some point have said that about Thatcher Hurd, or to have said that about Riley Cooper, or been like, Gavin Guidry's just not ready for this. Like, let's not throw him out there and then get him burned, right? There's a scenario where LSU just really shortens its pitching staff, and maybe they don't end up getting this done. But I think they were just willing to say, look, we're going to take some lumps, but if we're going to win this thing, we need these guys. And so I think that they deserve a lot of credit for just kind of staying the course and sticking with it and being willing to ride the ups and downs. Because let's face it, in that league, your pitching staff is going to have ups and downs. Nobody gets through unscathed, right? So I think that's a testament to them. And, I said a lot of things on your show this season, Hunt, that probably didn't age well, but terrible predictions and thinking teams were one thing when they were another. But one thing I will be able to hang my hat on all year is saying on your air that, hey, look, especially when LSU gets into the postseason, having Paul Skeens gets you about 50% of the way there.
Yep.
And all you need after that point is a couple guys to step forward, a couple of guys to have career days on the mound when you don't expect them, and a couple of guys to get better as the season goes on. And LSU didn't just get one of those. They got all of them throughout the postseason, and that's where they are. And look, that could have easily gone a different direction, right? They could have easily lost that, either of those Wake Forest games that were both relatively tight, especially the one that was the great Skeens-Lauder matchup. That could have easily gone the other way. But it didn't. And so, we look at this as being, hey, LSU just kind of strung it together on the mound well enough and got what they needed in the end.
They did. Does the last 2 weeks change your opinion of Jay Johnson moving forward and what this program looks like over the next 10 years? I mean, Cruz and Skeens and Morgan and Dugas and those guys are going to be gone. You've got to restock the shelves. It's a spot that you can do it. But how do you feel about Jay Johnson at LSU?
Really, really good, because I think one thing we've learned in the SEC, look at the way Mississippi State and Ole Miss didn't bounce back from their national titles. And I'm not saying that those coaches or those coaching staffs rested on their laurels. I don't think that's true at all. But I do think there was a little bit of not of assuming because we won this one time that we can just stay the course and move forward and we will continue to have that level of success. Now, anybody can have one or two bad years, so I don't want to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater there. But one thing I can guarantee you about Jay Johnson is that he's not going to sit around and rest on laurels, and also he's going to adapt to a changing world. So, if NIL changes at some point, or if the transfer portal changes at some point, or the traditional recruiting calendar, he's not going to buck against that or complain about it. He's just going to adjust what he does to be successful under those circumstances. And with the SEC being as competitive as it is year over year, we see it with every time there's a coaching change in the league, everybody gets in the portal. And then that new coach at a different program brings in a whole bunch of guys in the portal. There's just going to be a lot of volatility from year to year in the league. That's my guess anyway. And I would want to, in my program, have a coach who you know is going to ride that wave and just deal with it, as opposed to one that's just going to say, hey, we're going to keep our head down and keep working and just assume that what we've done all along is going to continue to work, because I just don't think we're living in that reality anymore.
Chatting with Joe Healy, as we've done every Thursday here throughout baseball season, part of D1 Baseball's SEC Extra package. Joe, some big picture stuff before I let you go. The ballpark matters in baseball. It doesn't matter as much in football or certainly in basketball. Is there anything that you've learned from Charles Schwab and the new baseballs that you would apply to your program or that you think is key to get to Omaha and win a national championship? Or is it, hey, we're just going to put a good team together that's going to win a lot of games, and if we get up there, we just got to play well?
So I think it's mostly the latter. But what I will say is that I think if you're truly trying to win a national title, I think you do need to be able to have some different buttons to push on offense. I think we saw a Wake Forest team, and look, LSU fans are feeling themselves, and there's been a lot of Wake Forest was overrated, da-da-da-da-da. I don't think that's really fair, but I do think it is fair to say that was an offense that was not ready to play in the conditions of what Charles Schwab Field was for the first 10 days of the tournament or week of the tournament, whatever it was. And then they failed because of that in that spot. So I think teams have gotten, and I've been beating this drum, teams have gotten enamored with, hey, we got to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And I don't disagree with that on its face. I think the teams that can't hit the ball out of the ballpark, I'm much more dubious of them than I am of the alternative. However, I think you do need to be able to do some other things once you get to that stage. And I think the teams that were able to kind of do that stuff had a little bit more success ultimately, because I think you saw, with Florida, with LSU, those aren't really like steal 100 bags types of teams, but they are, let's run a little bit, let's be aggressive on dirt balls, let's push the issue on the bases. I mean, we saw a lot of conservative base running in Omaha, but LSU and Florida tended to be a little more outgoing with that, and I think it ended up paying off with some of the runs they were able to steal along the way on various things. So I do think it is more of just, hey, just put together your best team and let's go to battle. And I do think you have to build for the current climate in home ballparks in college baseball, which is going to be homer happy. I don't think that's changing. But man, you just when you get into a big ballpark in Omaha and you're really going to be beholden to what the wind is doing on a given day, you can't just stand there and hit against good pitching. I just don't think that's going to work.
Florida won the SEC and they got to the final in Game 3. So their team didn't even come close to underachieving. Did their starting pitching underachieve a little bit? I mean, it certainly did it in the championship series, but as a whole.
Yeah, I think so. I think the fact that none of them were really good strike throwers just was like this thing all year that they were able to skirt past, right? Because Waldrop could strike out 15 on any given day, and, Caglione being a Sunday guy, they were just kind of like, it's the Sunday guy. Well, we'll deal with it. And Sproat was kind of somewhere in between. But when Brandon Sproat is your best strike thrower in your rotation, like that tells you you're not a great strike throwing rotation. So yes, I do think they underachieved just a little bit, but probably just a little bit because they were pretty good down the stretch. As Caglione got better in the regular season, Waldrop cleaned some stuff up, became a lot more dominant, and Sproat kind of stopped having the disaster outing where he just couldn't get out of the first or second inning. Although we did see a little bit of that again against LSU, where it was like they dragged him kicking and screaming through 4 innings when really they could have pulled him at any point from the second inning on in that game. So, yeah, I'm generally with you. I just think the strike throwing came back to bite them at the worst time against teams that were really able to exploit that. During the regular season, for whatever reason, most teams weren't able to exploit the fact that they just weren't in the strike zone very often.
Last one here, Joe. Your thoughts on the entirety of the Chase Burns situation at Tennessee, his decision to leave and where he may end up?
Yeah, I think it is a great example of kind of where we are in the current day. And that's not a judgment one way or the other on it. It just is a statement of reality, which is that this is nobody really reported it out because it was one of those things where it was like, I'm not really sure anybody felt comfortable with it, but it was something that I think anyone who's plugged in on college baseball had been hearing for a few weeks, that it was a distinct possibility, if not an eventuality, that he was going to get into the portal. And my big picture takeaway, and I talked to a couple people about this, just kind of bouncing the idea off them, and nobody told me I was crazy about it, but I've been surprised the degree to which in the portal, yes, potential NIL money matters, yes, playing on the biggest stage possible matters, But I've actually been a little bit surprised and maybe even heartened to some degree by how much players want to commit to a place that's for kind of baseball reasons and specifically role reasons. Chase Burns wants to be a starter. That's what he's chasing. And he's going to find a place, and it's his right to do it, find a place that's going to basically guarantee him to be a starter. Now, whether or not that's good for his 2024 season or his career, pro career, whatever, I don't know. That's what he's looking for. You've seen, I have to assume, and I don't know this, I'm not reporting anything, but, Cannon Peebles leaves NC State, goes to Tennessee. I assume it's because he's chasing an opportunity to catch every day. Hudson White, who's going to Arkansas from Texas Tech, I think is in a similar boat where he wants to catch every day and prove that he can do it or not. So I've actually been a little bit surprised by how much this stuff seems to be spurred by that, which feels like a very quaint, old school reason to want to transfer somewhere else. Everybody will be interested in Burns. He grew up a Vanderbilt fan. That's not happening. that seems like a very odd fit in at Vanderbilt, a team that doesn't do a lot of transfer portal stuff. And the one they've taken this offseason is an Air Force transfer. I think that tells you. And the one they got last year was a Duke transfer. I think that tells you what they're looking for. The wild card name is TCU.
Yeah.
TCU's doing a lot of work in the portal this offseason, and that's something I did not see coming. Frankly, to be honest with you, I think it's good for the sport that a Big 12 team is going to try to battle that battle alongside all these SEC clubs that are getting these transfers. And so, and I think it's a decent fit with the fact that they've got a pitching-centric head coach in Kirk Saarloos. They had some young pitchers really develop this year at the end. They ended up getting the Horned Frogs to Omaha. So if that ends up being where he goes, I kind of like that fit for him, actually, and ultimately we'll just have to see how it plays out.
I've listened to every Highway to Hoover all season long. I hope a lot of my listeners have as well. We've certainly appreciated all you and Mark Etheridge's work all year and you coming on every Thursday. It has been a treat, and we'll do it again soon, Joe. Get some rest. Thanks.
Absolutely, hon. I appreciate it.
He is Joe Healy. He and Mark Etheridge just do awesome work covering the SEC. And if you're looking for SEC baseball transfer portal stuff, which is about to over the next 2 weeks, go nuts. When you start looking at the draft and where high school guys go and all that kind of stuff, like people are going to start jumping, and LSU's going to be in the mix here a lot. So if you're looking for some information, some transfer portal stuff, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team does an awesome, awesome job. And we appreciate Joe for making some time for us every single week. All right, we got 30 minutes left. We're back with more after this.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. Where personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco, voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenge.
On Friday's OTB, we close out a wonderful week with the Paris Giambi, the Bayou Bambino, the king of Thick Boy Summer, Cade Beloso, live in studio. Coming out 7 to 10 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Funny story emerged about LSU's time in Omaha. Involves a DoorDash order. We'll get to that in a second. I capped that interview with Joe Healy about Chase Burns, and I know a lot of people are interested in that because big name goes in the transfer portal, and you think LSU should be involved. They were involved in Jacob Berry, and they were involved in Paul Skeens, and they were involved in Tommy White, and they were involved in Thatcher Hurd and Christian Little, and they were involved in Maui Ahuna, who ended up going to Tennessee, and I think they were involved in Hurston Waldrop, who ended up going to Florida, obviously, and big names going to the transfer portal, and LSU's generally involved, and there's no bigger name in the transfer portal right now than Chase Burns. I can promise you this. LSU is not late to the party here. There is no situation where LSU, well, they were in Omaha, they couldn't really do anything. That's not the case. They got transfer portal additions while they were in Omaha. And I know this, that all the smoke right now is around TCU. That's where just about everyone thinks he's going to go. However, at this time last year, all the smoke was around Tommy White going to Florida State, and LSU got involved. So I'm not ruling it out. I don't have my hopes up about Chase Burns. If Chase Burns wants to come to LSU, I'm all for it. That's a guy who, as a starter, throws 97 with one of the best sliders in the country. As a reliever, throws 102. But he wants to be a starter. And it's a weird deal to me that it's not an assumption that he would be a starting pitcher for Tennessee next year. He's proven he could do it. He did it as a freshman. He just didn't do it very well this year. And Tony Vitello made a move that helped his team. He brought in an enforcer out of the bullpen in Burns, took him out of the rotation, and he plugged it with Andrew Lindsay, who did a nice job for them since being inserted into that Friday night spot. I didn't think he was terrible against LSU in the College World Series. They're running up against Skeens. So it's a weird situation, certainly when I don't have all the details on. My thought, if you're an LSU fan, is be hopeful, but don't be expecting it. I think there's a real chance he's headed to Fort Worth, and we'll see. Kirk Sarlow's doing work in the transfer portal. I mentioned there a funny story from Omaha with LSU. This came out today as members of the team. It was Trey Morgan, Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens, Tommy White, Can't remember if there was anybody else there, but that's the nucleus of who was at Canes today, taking orders and running the drive-through and doing some media interviews, and part of the NIL deal that they, they're a pretty big deal right now, and that gets a lot of cameras, a lot of eyeballs, and a lot of people running through Canes. And somebody, I don't know who it was, the video we got was courtesy of WBRZ, and I'm sure you'll see this a lot of different places if you haven't seen it already, but they said, what's the funniest thing that happened while you were up there? And you realize these are kids who were only playing 3 hours a day, and they're up there for 2 weeks almost. That's a lot of hotel time. That's a lot of time at the zoo and some practice time and time to kind of goof off at times. That's very much there. I've never been there as a player, but I know a lot of people that have been there as players, and they say that for sure. So the question was, what's the funniest thing that's happened while y'all were up in Omaha? And the guys kind of chuckled and looked around, and I think Trey Morgan said, "Can I say this?" And the other guys kind of looked around like, "Yeah, you can." And then one of the media guys like, "Yeah, you can say it." And Trey starts laughing, and he brings up a story. He said, we were in the same hotel as Wake Forest, and we were playing them in one of the biggest games of the year. The Rhett Lauder-Paul Skeens game is the one he was referencing. The winner goes to the championship series in this game. And Thatcher Hurd ordered some DoorDash as a pregame meal. He gets a notification on his phone, your DoorDash is here at the hotel. So he walks down, he sees a DoorDash driver, and he says, "Is this my order?" And the guy, keep in mind, Paul Skeens and Rhett Lauder are about to pitch in this game that night. And Thatcher Hurd gets down there and says that morning, I said, "This is for Rhett L." And Thatcher Hurd goes, "Yeah, that's mine." He took it and went upstairs and ate. He ate Rhett Lauder's DoorDash. He ate the guy's pregame meal. It is funny to look back on, and I don't think it compromised Lauder because he didn't give up a run. But it's a very college thing to do. I don't know what happened to Thatcher Hurd's order, if he went down and ate that too, or if he was just commandeering the opposing starter's lunch. But Rhett Lauder clearly didn't get his lunch that day. Now, Jay Johnson made sure to clarify, by the way, that's the only time we scored on him the entire day, because Lauder threw a shutout in his time. But look, that's a bold move by Thatcher Hurd. He's looking out for his lineup. He's going, "Look, guys, I know this guy's tough. He's on short rest. I'm taking the fuel." I don't even know what restaurant it was from. And I feel comfortable saying there was probably a spread in the clubhouse that Rhett Lauder could dip into for some calories if he needed them. But he had clearly made a purchase, and Thatcher Hurd thwarted that, stole it, and went upstairs and ate it. The things that go on in the College World Series that you don't hear about. You know about the quotes and the moments. Yeah, Trey Morgan's squeeze, Tommy White home run, Skeens throwing shutouts, Cruz catching the ball off the wall. You see all that. You don't see guys stealing the starting pitcher's lunch in the lobby of the Hilton. I was in the lobby of the Hilton a few days later. I had to purchase my things down there. Didn't steal anyone's, but it was a lot of fun. Thought that was a good story that came out of the Canes little media availability that the guys were doing. They're obviously having a really, really good time, and they deserve it. There are some guys that won't play baseball again off that team. There are some guys that won't play baseball again for LSU. There are some guys that are about to head off to summer leagues and go play a lot of baseball that doesn't quite mean as much as what they just got done with. So for the guys to enjoy last night, the festivities that LSU put on, to enjoy doing some stuff like they did today with the Canes deal, that's cool. And at this time of the year, they have certainly earned it, and we'll miss a lot of those guys because they were really good. But Thatcher Hurd's coming back, so maybe if you get to Omaha next year, some pitcher puts a DoorDash in, he can go down there and make things happen again. Clutch play, Thatcher Hurd. All right, we'll come back and close things out. Hunt Palmer Show.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Santa join us for the Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Troy Macker is with us. Paul Stone is back with us talking college football, and Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we're closing things up here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Been a good one. I'm feeling like my voice is on the way to returning. Monday when I woke up, I thought we had no chance. We were hammering cough drops. We were chugging water. And I went to the game Monday night. I had a travel day Tuesday that I thought was going to kind of get things back rolling. And then I woke up yesterday and I was like, this is not even any better. And today is not 100%. I mean, look, I put myself in the category on Monday of like Kirk Gibson, Jordan flu game, like Byron Leftwich with the broken leg. Like that's what we were feeling like on Monday. Now I just feel like I got to tough it out. And maybe that was a little exaggeration on Monday. But the voice is still not great. I appreciate y'all bearing with me during a really big week and a fun week. And my voice sounds horrendous, but we're going to get there. We'll muscle through tomorrow and I think through a a weekend, we can potentially get this thing back in rhythm. But bear with me. We'll get through it. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Venus Williams will compete in her 24th Wimbledon next week. The Williams sisters are the best sibling duo ever. Take it or leave it.
Oh, man. I have to give some thought to that. What siblings?
Well,
Kelseys are doing pretty well.
The Bryan brothers.
The Bryan brothers, the tennis was fantastic. I think the Williams sisters better than them, but that's
because neither of them were successful singles-wise.
They're just really good at doubles, which so are the Williams sisters. No, I think you got to take that. I have a hard time off the top of my head coming up with a sibling duo that's been significantly better than the Williams, who have shattered a bunch of records and have been amazing in terms of longevity. I guess Serena bowed out. I didn't realize Venus was still playing. If you'd have bet me 15 minutes ago whether or not Venus Williams still playing or not, I would have said she's not. But obviously I was wrong. I used to be such a big Wimbledon fan growing up. I think that's because I just loved sports, and it's in the summer, and I'm out of school, so it's like, what are you going to do? Well, Wimbledon's on in the morning. Well, you just turn that on, and I was watching Sampras and Agassi, and I loved Wimbledon growing up. I don't watch it as much now, I guess, because I'm working. But yeah, Williams sisters, they were a part of it when I was little, and I guess Venus still kicking, so there we go.
Travis Kelce responded to a comment that he's underpaid by saying, "That's okay. I love winning. Take it or leave it."
I'll take it. That's great. I honestly don't begrudge anyone for just taking the biggest paycheck somewhere. I read this story that's referenced here, and Kelce was talking about Tyreek Hill leaving for the $30 million in Miami, and he said, that's a lot more than I make, and my numbers are pretty good, but, they're not winning. I want to win. I'm going to play with Mahomes, and we're going to win the division. We're going to be in the playoff games. We're going to be in the Super Bowl, and we're going to win. And that's great, too. It's refreshing to me because money rules everything, and I know that. And money's very important, and I know that. And trust me, I would love to make a lot more money. It would make life a lot simpler. And that's true for just about anyone. But I think that there's a refreshing piece to that. And I'll tell you, if you can get somebody on your team like that in a salary cap sport like football, it's just so big. And Travis Kelce kind of feels that way. He's like, I've got kind of enough. And some of the golfers are like that with the live thing. I just want to win. I'm not necessarily worried about grabbing guaranteed money to go play in that. And I think what Joe Burrow very well may do here. Well, I can't wait to see how this contract is structured when they iron out this extension, which we assume is going to happen in fairly short order here, he and Herbert, because I just don't believe. It's certainly not going to look like Deshaun Watson's deal with a bajillion guaranteed dollars, but I don't even know that it's going to approach the Lamar Jackson deal. And I think every team in the NFL would take Joe Burrow over Lamar Jackson, I think. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think that. And I think that Lamar will make I think he'll make more. Now, I could be completely wrong because on the business side of sports, I'm not exactly an ace. But you've heard the comments. We kind of know Joe a little bit, and I just feel like there's a reasonable chance that he's going to take a haircut somewhere, somehow, whatever gymnastics they've got to do on the back end of the salary cap, so that the guys that he needs to win games and compete for the division and try to win a Super Bowl can stick around in a salary cap sport. So we'll see.
All right, last one here. Former Tiger Naz Reid signed a deal worth $41 million guaranteed with the Timberwolves. Naz will be the highest-earning Will Wade product. Take it or leave it.
Well, Skyler's sticking around, but he's not really a Will Wade product. He was still on the team, so I guess Cam would be the next guy. Watford's around as well. Javante's hanging in there, but yeah, I think Nod's the guy. Tremont's not going to get there. Days, no. So yeah, I think I will take that. I'll take it. And Matt has a bit, and I was right there in the middle of that as well. Putting things. I was doing hoops with Hunt at the time, and I would get questions all the time that I would ask for in the middle of the week, like, what questions do you want me to answer? They'd be like, Naz Reid's not ready to go, and I'm like, you're not looking at it the right way. They don't need him to beat the Celtics by himself right now. That's not why you draft a 19-year-old basketball player. Sometimes they are Kevin Durant, but those guys go second in the draft. If you have a 6'10 guy that can shoot the three a little bit, has some touch around the rim, and can rebound with a wide frame, and you give him 3 years to progress and do nothing but basketball, he might be a really helpful player. You can always go find the next 6'3 guard. Those guys are always going to be there. The 6'10 guy is a little bit harder to see, and Naz Reid is that. And he was always going to make it, and I'm thrilled that he did. He was fun to watch at LSU. That team was a treat, And honestly, might be one of the reasons why I've got this show right now, because I kind of transitioned fully out of media, but I wanted to jump in with the podcast and did Hoops with Hunt. And that kind of kept me in the media world. And all of a sudden, here we are. So thanks, Nas. Owe you the whole career. Probably not whole, but appreciate that. All right, that's it for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We did a lot today. Talked to LSU and the narrative that they bought a championship at the beginning. I kind of laid out why I think that's very short-sighted. Talked about what we learned over the course of the season and some big picture things I'll take away as we assess future LSU baseball seasons. Matt Trent from WBRZ was with us at 1:30. He was up in Omaha with Cobble and has followed this team all year long. Talked a little Saints at the end of hour number 1 and where ESPN has them in terms of the strength of their roster. Keith Law's mock draft, top of hour number 2. You know, Paul Skeens at 1, Cruz 2 is a bit of a shakeup, but Ty Floyd comes in at 28. Gave my thoughts on that. Appreciate Joe Healy from D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team jumping aboard at 2:15 as he did all year long. Of course, we played some Take It or Leave It, had a little fun along the way. So that'll do it for us here. Tomorrow's show, let's hope there's some portal news. I'd really like to talk some more baseball before we transition into football. There will be some football tomorrow as well on a Friday edition brought to you by Corks. Matt's going to drive you home coming up on After Further View. We will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more